the downpipe. The downpipe is going to give us that full bolt-on kind of power. Even though they say stainless steel, this is from VRSF. I'm not exactly sure if it's actually stainless steel, because if it was, why is this ceramic coated? I really wanted the stainless steel to show, but it's not. Again, it's going to be fine. It's got the so-called coating on it. I've had it sitting for a while, so it's kind of, I don't know, the coating is a little, it's okay. Make sure you buy brand new bolts. I will show you underneath of the car, but the downpipe, the catalytic converter, basically, right? We're going to replace that with the downpipe. The bolts are incredibly seized on there. I've sprayed the hell out of it with PB Blaster, but most likely it's either going to shear off or it's gonna strip, and we're gonna have to cut it off with a Dremel. It's just the name of the game. And then this guy. This is a BMW part number. Basically, this goes around here. Okay, this mates to your mid-pipe, and then this gasket goes inside of it. Make sure you just buy this for peace of mind, guys. If you can't get this off, because you know it's one of these kind of clamps, right? Let me just open this up. It's one of these kind of clamps where the female nut is actually welded on to this clamp, right? So you're not going to be able to get anything on here. The only thing you can do is take this bolt off, and God forbid this is rusted on, which most likely is going to be really rusted on. Cut it off. All right, here's a look at the 4 bolts that we need to take off in order to remove the downpipe. So I'm going to start with it stationary here. If we can't take this off, we're gonna have to resort to taking off the mid pipe, which is a little more cumbersome, but it's not that bad at the end of the day. Yeah, they're all getting rounded off. These are super duper seized on there. I may try to go with a smaller one or a bolt extraction tool. Yeah, it's not coming off. Yep, got that one off. Broke off. Yeah. This one's not even grabbing on. It's so rusted and gone. Yep, and this one too. There's like no bolt left. I think the best thing to do is cut off the top one and this one, but I think it's best to take the mid pipe down, which I did not want to, but it is what it is. It's probably an easier way to kind of tackle this job anyway. Okay, so not a ton of room here, but we're gonna have to remove the cross brace here in order to lower the mid pipe once we do unloosen it. And this is T50 Torx. That one's a little rusty. And then we're gonna remove this bolt here and that bolt there, and that should loosen this. And then we're gonna remove these little spring-loaded bolts that hold the mid pipe, and that should free it up. And then we gotta get to this guy. It's I believe this is a E12, like every other bolt on this BMW. With a backing bolt that looks like maybe a 10 millimeter, but we'll put the right bolt numbers on there, and then we can do the bolt extraction. Okay. Okay. Came off rather painless. Here we go. Brake on the way. That's why I kind of stayed clear from under the car, because I knew it was going to drop. Yep, that's a 13. E10 on the other side. So I'm going to bust it off from here, because I don't trust the leverage that I have on this side. So let me just back this up a little more. Okay. Okay. Yep. So once we unloosen that and then the V-band clamp, we should be on our way to removing the entire exhaust minus the cat back. So it should be pretty easy. I'm gonna go on this side and do it. I have it supported by a jack, as you can see here, right there, so it doesn't fall. I don't think it will, but just in case. Okay. These are spring loaded, so just make sure you have the pressure on there. Okay, simple enough. Now we're going to go to the front and take off that V-band clamp, and everything should kind of fall down. You know what I'm seeing, guys? I'm also seeing a bracket here. I do want to disconnect it because I don't think the downpipe's going to have a bracket, so I'm actually going to remove it from let's see, what's the easiest here? Yeah, maybe I'll just remove these bolts and then get to this after I drop the downpipe down, because this looks like it's a really weird angle and it's actually bolted into the transmission. And if that's not really hurting anything by being there, I might not just take it off altogether. This looks like a really big Torx bolt that I may not have a female socket for, the external Torx socket for. So I'm gonna start off with here. Okay, most likely we're not going to need this bolt, but we'll keep it around. That sucker really doesn't want to come off. But keep in mind, you know, when you have a wobble or something like that, it doesn't exert as much torque. Okay, it's almost out, but let me hit it with the big boy. All right, that's being a major pain. All right, let me see if I have a torque spit. All right, guys, we're doing it the hard way. Nothing comes easy when you have this much mileage and you're trying to do a bunch of stuff all at once. But this is coming off. All right, those two are off. Let me kind of snake the O2 sensor plugs. This is the post cat, and then there's going to be a pre cat. Sometimes it's called downstream, upstream. And now I want to get to that V band, which is right there. Okay. I'm hoping it comes off relatively easy. I think I'm going to use a breaker bar. I don't want to snap that off and have to resort to cutting it off. So let me find the right socket for it. I'm in the driver passenger wheel well. And look at that, guys. That's off. And that's off. Okay. All right, guys. Woo! Okay. So the downpipe is, well, the catalytic converter is out. This actually gave me no problem. The V-band clamp usually is rusty as anything. What did give me issues was this stupid thing. We're not going to use it anyway. There's no place for this thing, but I am going to try to cut it off. It just kind of twisted out in a weird angle. The other bolt came out fine, but not this one. I think it's overkill to have this kind of bracket from kind of like going back and forth, but the Midpipe has it, and then the V-band clamp does. The engine's not going to twist as much, especially, you know, in this kind of area. I'm hoping not, that the bolts will kind of do its job, because the downpipe's going to be on there. Downpipe does not have this kind of bracket here. And here is the O2 sensors. The reason why we decided to pull the downpipe and do it while the subframe is out is also you have to remove all the plastic, the cowl, and then you have to get rid of, you have to get to the point of basically doing a spark plug job in order to remove these guys. This is basically the two O2 sensors that are here. The front is obviously the black. The rear is the white connection, right, that we talked about, pre-cat, post-cat. It basically sends a lot of the signal back to your DME, letting you know what the basically the air that's coming out, right, the gases that are coming out. It basically reads the oxygen levels, and that really, you know, gives your DME the calculation to give you the appropriate fuel air ratio, whether it's lean, rich, etc., and then you can basically, you know, do a remap or tune to give you more power. So that's what it is. We're gonna replace the O2 sensors. It's good that I bought the new ones, because now I don't have to take this off. I can keep this dangling. But what we have to do is remove these guys. You can see how corroded these are, and they are bad. I mean, I think I'm gonna try to use either a Sawzall or a Dremel. The Dremel's probably gonna eat through it relatively slow, but I also don't want to use a Sawzall because I feel like I don't want to damage these flanges. So maybe we will use the appropriate kind of Dremel tool. All right, guys, as you can see, the downpipe is now separated from the midpipe. This is what we were battling here. As you can see, extremely rusted. All the heat cycles and moisture that attracted to it, and this must be hardened steel or whatever it is. It was extremely difficult to cut off with a Dremel. So I actually used a circular saw with a metal cutting blade, and that worked extremely well. The Dremel didn't work as well. It took a long time to just cut one. So I took the circular saw, and it worked in a jiffy. I mean, it was a quick cut. What we're gonna do now is put on the brand new O2 sensors. I know some people cheap out and maybe reuse the O2 sensors, but I think this is a great time to replace some of the old wear and tear items. I really think it's the right time to really use, really spend the money to get the new ones. And then I have the new V-band clamp. Mine was okay. This was not rusted, so, but I do have a new gasket. I took the gasket off. It's wedged inside of the turbo. like on the lip of the turbo, and this material is incredibly like porous. It just kind of like all comes apart like what's the best way to describe it? Like a puff pastry. So put the new one on, make sure it's properly seated, and then we will put the downpipe on. I'm not going to tighten anything yet. I'm going to tighten it once it's on the car. That's what a turbo gasket looks like. It goes right into that groove. No guessing game there. Pretty self-explanatory. And if you understand the turbo system, it's going to be pushing the exhaust out, so anything that might fall in there, it's fine. Just make sure there's no big pieces in there. It's not going to suck it back into the engine if you're wondering. Pretty self-explanatory. I put a little dab of anti-seize, so in the future if I decide to take it off, it's going to be a lot easier to maneuver around. Alright guys, so I have the mid-pipe here, and obviously the downpipe is on, O2 sensors are on, and I'm gonna go grab the gasket. But before I do that, what I want to do is mate it to the back and then put this bracket back on so it's in alignment with the downpipe the way it should be, because I don't have that V-band clamp all the way on yet. But that's exactly why I want to put this on before to get a feel for the alignment, to make sure that the downpipe's not at a very different angle. Okay, not all the way though. We want to give it a little play so we can drop the exhaust for the front. Okay. And then we'll come back. Yep, it's just got enough play, and I'm gonna go to the front, and then I'm not gonna put the middle bracket on yet because I want to have as much flexibility as possible. This is gonna be held on by these two bolts. And then the middle bracket, I'm not gonna put on yet. I'm not gonna bolt them down yet. I'm gonna go to the front and put on the gasket and then the bolts. And here's the gasket set that I ordered from VRSF. I also have the stock gaskets, but these look like proper ones, so we're gonna put this in there. All right, so this is how I have it slinkied. I have a jack back there, but you know that I put the two bolts back on. And then this is what I'm trying to mate. I got it somewhat lined up. I think I just need to kind of thread the bolts on and then start moving it a little bit again. I have not tightened down the V-band clamp here, but I will do that once everything is kind of positioned. All right, let's get it. Let's put the gaskets on. gonna put a little bit of, because just in case I need to take these guys off, I want to put a little bit of anti-seize on the tip, just the tip. And remember, we are just threading everything on, so we'll be a little bit careful. Okay, it's on there. That's on there. Now that last one, that pain in the balls one. Okay, I'm gonna. Okay. I'm gonna tighten these first, and then I'm gonna start working on this bracket. This bracket is very maneuverable. So I think we'll be okay here, but I want to get to these bolts first. I want to make sure that downpipe is firmly on there. Now we're gonna tighten this bad boy up and call it a day. And this is a 13, guys, and make sure it's in the right orientation, facing up. The bolt is going to be going into the welded on receiving end. Okay, so the camera kind of crapped out, the battery died, so I'm under here. I got this to a position where it's nice and tight, and this thing's not going anywhere. It is on there. I don't want to go too crazy with this thing, just because it is a weld on the other side. I think that's more than enough. Now I'm gonna put the flex kind of bolt for the mid pipe for the hanger over here, and then we should be good to go, and just tighten up the rear bolts and the downpipe is done. Really appreciate you guys coming to the channel and checking out the 135i, see what it can do against the M2 competition, maybe even the E90 M3, E92 M3, as well as some of the B58 cars out there after it's full bolt on. If it's a slacker, then we'll think about going with a turbo upgrade, but I think this is going to be plenty fun for now. 300 horsepower was fun, but as we get close to that 400 mark, I think this car is going to be a bit of a riot. So thanks for joining us. We're going to go on to replace the front mount intercooler. That's about as much as we have left, along with the transmission mounts. So this is from Rogue Engineering. Shout out to Rogue for an awesome product. I have this in my E36 M3, and boy, is it compliant, but at the same time firm. Whatever they did to design this, it's a fantastic part to replace the OEM with. It's definitely got an OEM plus kind of feel. So next up, intercooler. We're gonna do a coolant flush, right? We've pretty much drained all the coolant, and then we're gonna do an oil change, and that's about it. And then we're gonna do the MHD tune. It's a mess. I'm gonna do a little cleanup, but I'm gonna keep the engine bar on here for now because I can't muster up the strength to put the subframe back on by myself. I am solo today. Like I mentioned, Daniel was busy doing some of his personal stuff, but I tried my best to capture as everything that I can on film so that we can show you guys. Not a DIY per se. It is a DIY. It's a DIY for me. It's a DIY for Daniel on the process of getting this car reliable, but keep in mind that there's a lot of other DIYs out there, and we will keep you up to date on all the different things that's gonna go onto this car. But for now, we've really spent a good amount of time doing the maintenance like we mentioned in our first video, and we shall see about the full bolt-on after the tune. Thanks for joining us.